It's 28 degrees here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily, your daily dose of sunshine. I'm Maupe Ogun-Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo. Makede is 33 degrees here in Lagos, even though it rained into the morning, and I'm wondering where that is coming from. Today is March 11, 2025. Well, it's just a reminder. And the day after that APC, news that we heard, Mark, where, of a former governor, founding member of the APC, exiting the party and announcing a landing somewhere else.
Indeed, the former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, has now defected from the All Progressives Congress to the Social Democratic Party. A number of people would say that they saw this coming, especially after he granted that interview, and also paid a visit to the offices of the Social Democratic Party. At that time, he had to make a statement to say he was still very much a member of the APC, but sadly, it does appear that things have taken a different turn, especially after the president's spokesperson did say that the Malam should move on and stop acting like a baby. Well, this is the situation right now. The Malam certainly has moved on. He's now in the Social Democratic Party, and it does appear that the forces are coalescing ahead of 2027. The question is, where are we taking you to this morning, and what exactly is the conversation that we're having? But Ayo, I leave you to, first of all, give us your own thinking. Did you see this coming?
Well, I think maybe even the APC itself saw it coming, because remember that conversation we had with one of the president's spokesperson, Mr. Bayo Nonga, who was, something that you also mentioned earlier. Whether or not I saw this coming, gosh, Mark, I really wish I had a crystal ball to know. But hey, it is politics, and there is always a lot of topsy-turvy turning and tossing whenever another general election is in the offing. Surprising that this is 2025, and we're already talking about the elections of 2027. I don't know. So to some people, it's not a surprise. It's just who we are. It's the way we do things. But hey, perhaps that's the reason, Malpa, this morning that you are taking us to Kaduna.
Indeed. Well, that's our skyline for you this morning. The Kaduna City Center is where we're taking you to. I'm sure you can already see the aerial shots right there. But we're taking you there for a different reason, as a matter of fact. This shot, for those who are familiar with Kaduna, will know precisely where it is situated. But this is certainly an area of choice for those who love leisure in Kaduna. For those who do not know where this is the middle, right in the heart of the Kaduna City Center. Quite a number of sporting activities happen right here at the Kaduna City Center. But we're taking you there because something is happening right there today. The governor of Kaduna State, the current governor, Obasani, will be commissioning some buses, some public service buses, BRT buses, we understand they are called, for mass transit for the use of Kaduna people. It's unclear whether they're going to be powered by CNG or they're going to be powered by petrol, but most likely we imagine that these buses will be powered by CNG, because quite a number of governors have been investing in those CNG buses to make transportation around their vicinity a lot cheaper for residents in their state. So much later today, I think, yes, about noontime, there will be a commissioning of the BRT buses happening in Kaduna State.
Whether or not it's going to be CNG powered, I think it's another thing altogether. And it's something to probe, if you ask me, because remember the federal government had made some promises to some states that they're going to get some buses and all of that. Is this part of the consignment from the federal government to the states, or is this an initiative of the state itself? That federal government initiative, we understand, was to, as much as possible, reduce the pressure of the effect of the removal of fuel subsidy on citizens back when the president made that announcement. Whether or not this is part of that initiative, I guess you stick with us here at Channels Television as we bring you all of the details. But to enjoy the view that is right in our faces this morning, even the roads are already expecting those buses, Malkwe. They're just waiting. I'm looking forward to those buses. I'm looking forward to the commissioning, just as you have said. But Kaduna is certainly a central business place in the northern part of Nigeria. So, well, that's the much of it. Malkwe, anything happening today?
Well, that's a major thing happening today. Well, we're going to be sinking our teeth into matters in River State, south of the country. You do know that the issues in the state have been at the forefront of political happenings in the country. And not more than one political watcher has been focusing attention on what is happening in River State. But we'll come back much later, in just a short while, to discuss, to show you what happened yesterday, what transpired yesterday. The governor suing for peace after the invitation he extended to lawmakers. Lawmakers saying, well, governor, you did not invite us properly. You did it via social media. Perhaps you should send us a proper invitation and we might answer you. But at the same time, meeting and saying and calling for the arrest of the River State Independent Electoral Commission chairman. We'll find out more about that when we come back from this break. Please stay with us.
At plenary today, there are 3 items on the order paper: the introduction of 1 new bill and modification of 2 existing laws. The new bill, titled the River State House of Assembly Powers and Privileges Bill 2025, is sponsored by the leader of the House.
The River State House of Assembly Powers and Privileges Bill 2025, Mr. Speaker, a bill for a law to give the River State House of Assembly the desired powers and immunity to be able to carry out its legislative responsibility pursuant to the Legislative House Powers and Privileges Act 2027.
The 2 other proposed amendments to the RSHA and local government laws are also presented. Then the House lets in 3 former RSHA commissioners who resigned over the weekend, and they engage with them. Afterwards, the House goes into a debate following the RSHA chairman's absence, with members calling for his arrest.
I think it's high time to make them understand that we are here for business and not for joke.
We've taken enough from you, Mr. Speaker. I support Enebeli should be arrested. It's high time we arrested him.
The Speaker puts it to a vote, after which he issues the arrest warrant, which he says will be shared with the police immediately.
Distinguished colleagues, those for 24, those against, nil, abstention, nil. By these voting honorable members, this House has therefore resolved that Justice Enebeli and other commissioners who failed to appear before the 10th River State House of Assembly will now be compelled by this House via the warrants issued under the seal of the Speaker to the Nigeria Police to bring them here to answer questions. And this will be done immediately so that the needful can happen. Rivers people can know what has been happening to their funds and what has been happening in the River State Independent Electoral Commission.
Speaking on the sidelines of the event, however, the former RSHA commissioners say they resigned in obedience to the Supreme Court.
The election that we conducted last was annulled by the Supreme Court of Nigeria. So I think I cannot be there again to keep deceiving myself.
I didn't want to go through the rigor of people usurping the duties of the commissioners. And when it comes to blame, we all begin to bear the blame. So I don't want to go through that hassle anymore.
Also considered were a bill to repeal the Rivers State Local Government Law No. 5 of 2018 and reenact the Rivers State Local Government Law to make provisions for the structure and functions of the local government. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
I want to say to our timid supporters, I know your spirits are, some of your spirits are high, some of your spirits are low. But I want to assure you one important fact of life. God does not start and end halfway. It doesn't matter what the situation is, what the situation might be today. I assure you that will come up again stronger and better. Continue to follow my footstep, and that footstep remains peace. For our leaders, we can't thank you enough. Each time we come out and we see the strength, the vigor in your faces, in the camp of our enemy, they jilter. Fear grips them. Because these are people that are following us without anything. These are men who have made their names, who believe that at this point in time, what is important is the integrity of Rivers State.
So that was what transpired in different areas of Rivers State yesterday. On the one hand, you had at the Rivers State House of Assembly, the Speaker and his members of the House calling for the arrest of the chairman of RSHA, that's the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, Judge Justice Inibeli. You also had the governor there suing for peace, asking his followers to be like him. The question is, what exactly is happening? People say, if this is really a call for peace, why does it seem so difficult to follow? We have quite a number of gentlemen joining us this morning to discuss this. Mr. Jake Pele joins us, is the founder of TAF Africa. Mr. Pele, thank you so much for staying with us this morning, and welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you, Mokwe. I am so happy to be here and thankful to the team at Channel for always giving hope to the Rivers people. Thank you.
We also have with us this morning Mr. Erastus Awotu, JP. He also joins us virtually. Thank you for staying with us, sir.
Very much. Morning. Yes.
Good morning. So, Mr. Pele, let me start with you. What went wrong with that invitation which the governor extended to lawmakers on the back of the Supreme Court judgment? It did seem like he was looking to have a discussion to see the way forward. But it does appear that the invitation, did it fall into wrong hands, or was it that, you know, somehow it wasn't addressed properly? What exactly went wrong with that invitation?
Thank you, for the question. No, I've been in Abuja for too long. I decided that I'm going to come into Port Harcourt and see things for myself and be with my people, laugh when we have to, cry when we have to cry. I think not heeding to that invitation, and I respect the opinions of the House of Assembly. They have the right to make their decision. But I think not heeding to that invitation seems to be a missed opportunity. Meeting, they may have their reason for not attending, but this is my personal opinion. And use the opportunity to find the pathway to peace. The people I went round yesterday, I spoke to the two camps. A very good friend, Chief Lloyd, who agreed with me that there's a need to rest all this whole thing and find a peaceful resolution. You know, So that, be it as it may, I think it's a missed opportunity. I think they should have attended that meeting, in my personal opinion, and used the opportunity to tell the governor what they want to tell the governor, and the governor tell them what he wants to say. And the agenda was clear. Let's resolve the issue of where the assemblies are going to meet. Let's resolve the issue of your piled up allowances that have not, and salaries that have not been paid, and so on and so forth. And even the issue of budget representation was on the table. How much can one do that this governor have not done? And like I said, the other camp may have their reason, and I'm not going to, on a national television, dismiss whatever is their reason. But I think there was an opportunity for peace, which is something that I have always championed. I am here on a peaceful mission, a peace mission. And we need to put this whole thing to rest so that Rivers people can truly rest. The people are depressed. Every day is becoming one day several troubles, and we need to put this thing in the board and solve the problem once and for all.
Some people will argue that, it has already gone way beyond the bud. By the time a matter gets to the Supreme Court, I mean, that matter certainly has developed into a full-grown tree. I want to know, precise, because part of what we heard, we all saw that invitation in the media space, and part of what we saw also was the reaction of the lawmakers who took objection to how the invitation was sent to them. Was this, from what you know, from what you gather, is it that it was intentional to invite them via the media, or was a letter truly sent to the House but went amiss?
There's been issue of miscommunication. There's been issue of misinterpretation and so on and so forth, and denial. I'm not here to speak for the governor. I'm not his spokesperson. However, from what I gathered, they were just concerned that they may transmit this letter to them, and eventually it will be denied if it's done privately. There's been occasion that the Amewule pro-Wike camp has also put out information like that on the social media. It's unfortunate. Will I have done it as a person? Probably no. But right now, everybody seems to be on a survival mode. And people can do things, make mistakes. The fact that you made a mistake shouldn't be a reason to throw in or to reject an opportunity. I think that Amewule, the speaker, would have made history if he had attended that meeting. Even if he had attended the meeting and not say anything and walk out, he would have made himself a hero. And I'm not saying he's not, So, like I said, I'm not in his mind. I haven't met with him. I don't know what his reasons for not showing up. But I'm saying in the interest of peace and in the spirit of defending the democracy, which he stands to defend as a Speaker of the House, he should have attended that meeting. Again, that's my personal opinion. But from the findings, I believe that they did that as evidence, just to have an evidence to the fact that, look, we transmitted this letter privately to you, but we also want to make it public so that the public can know. Like right now, it looks like Fubara is left. The only court he has is the court of public opinion. And he wants to take advantage of it. The same Fubara that the judiciary have not been very fair to is today commissioning houses for judges. That looks to me ironical, and for someone who does not want problem, but is ready to make peace. I believe, I haven't met with him, but if I have a chance to, I believe that he wants to make peace. He may also go to the length of meeting the FCT minister if the FCT minister wants to meet with him, And I think that's what leadership is all about. And I've called on my good friend and brother, Yosef Wike, to please make himself a hero by embracing this young man and telling him that, listen, in spite of what has happened, in spite of all the maybe abuse and the things you've said, I am your elder. I put you there. I'm willing to stoop low, to say, continue the work. I have just proved to you that I can deal with you. But however, I can also pull back. That's what elders do. You slap with one hand, you bring the person back with the other hand.
Well, speaking of elders, we heard about, sorry to interrupt you there, but speaking of elders, we also know that former governor of the state, Chief Rufus Ada George, also intervened in the matter yesterday, asking all parties to sheath their sword. I'm going to be asking Dr. Awotu now, whether you think that call for peace is going to have any effects given what has happened. This question is for Dr. Awotu. Given what has happened, so far with the invitation that the governor has extended to the lawmakers, and now the lawmakers also seeking to arrest the chairman of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission.
Before I go directly to the question of concerning a call by the elder statesman, I'd like to chip in a bit concerning the invitation to the House of Assembly, and of course the inferences that can be drawn from the actions of the governor right from after the Supreme Court judgment. If you recall, shortly after the judgment, governor addressed the press that he was going to implement that judgment. And as part of it, I don't know if it's because later on he said he had not received the copy of the judgment, but he went ahead to say the local government should be taken over by the HLGs, which means that he knows that the judgment nullified the local government elections. But I don't know if he knew that the judgment also stated that it's illegal to use administrators of any kind to run the local government. So it's conflicting. And then he went ahead to direct the RSHA to fix date for election, and also boasted to the chairman that you are coming back. So it's always symptomatic of the attitude of the governor. He says one here and he says another thing in the next moment. Now, if you recall, I don't know whether it's been brought to your attention, the assembly, after inviting the governor to come and present the budget, I'm sure he's born out of their need to see that Rivers people get access to their monies. The governor ignored that letter. In fact, it was reported that it was rejected. Instructions were given for the letter to be rejected. And it's surprising that when governor wrote to the assembly, no reference was made to that, whether by social media or by any means. I'm sorry, I saw your letter that inviting me. Unfortunately, I was busy. I was doing no reference was made. It was totally ignored. And you see the items that are contained in that letter, talking about allowances and where to sit. The judgment of Justice Omotosho had stated earlier on that the assembly can choose where to sit. And they've been sitting, as you saw in the pictures. That's a very comfortable place where they've been sitting. The governor cannot now be saying, I want to appoint a place for you to sit. So you see, and then on Friday, they went to court seeking an order to prohibit the assembly from asking the governor to come and present list of commissioners. All this shows insincerity on the part of the governor in looking for solution to this problem. And of course, the assembly with this background, and then you see a letter on social media, it's difficult to accept. And I think the assembly was right to say, no, we're a different arm of government. You have to write to us in the proper way. The issue of who signed the letter is also there. But in my own opinion, governance and leadership demands a lot of responsibility. It demands a lot of trade-off. I don't expect the governor to play to the gallery by writing a letter and placing on social media. The time the governor will have surreptitiously to invite the speaker or go to him or the members reach out and say, look, this has come like this. We are sorry, this happened. I said we are floating and all kinds of stuff. Sorry, it's politics. let us come back and see how we can move the state forward. We shouldn't be seeing letters in open space. Before that is done, we will be seeing that the Speaker and the Governor, the Assembly members, are meeting in the interest of the state. But when you try to play to the gallery, it shows that there is a hidden intention, which, of course, I feel so sad that is happening when everybody is looking to move forward and getting Rivers State out of the news for the wrong reasons. Now, coming to the issue of the elders, the call by the elder statesman. What will the elders say? But unfortunately, these are the same elders that discouraged this governor. Some of them went to court in the name of elders to challenge the presidential pact that was reached. And they are responsible. I have to give them that liability. They are responsible for a lot of all these things that have happened. Because when an elder takes a side in a brewing conflict, and then the next day you come, what rule as an elder? Who will give him credence? It's so very, very unfortunate. So as an elder, he has to say what he has to say, but he went to the war too early, and I don't think he has the moral standing to call for this kind of truth. If, assuming the assembly had been sacked by the Supreme Court, will he be making this kind of call? So it's unfortunate, and I see a lot of insincerity in what is going on.
So you are, saying that there's a lack of good faith from what you have seen so far, a lack of good faith in the letter transmitted to the assembly and also the actions of the governor. Is that what you're saying essentially?
Yeah, there is absolute lack of good faith, and it speaks a lot to the kind of governance we've had, because these are issues that shouldn't be in the media, that the governor wants to meet with the assembly after this kind of a protracted conflict. It shouldn't be in the media. Those are things that will be done underground. And it's this kind of way of handling things, going to the media and saying things that shouldn't be said, that have made us to reach this point where we are. So there's absolute lack of good faith. The governor is meeting with the speaker or the members of the assembly shouldn't be a matter that we should know about even before the meeting starts.
Let me come back to you, Mr. Epele. You have heard, what Dr. Awotu had to say, on some of the matters, enumerating, even the items that were contained in that letter, which some people would say, perhaps as a measure of good faith, the governor should have done. Because if the Supreme Court now recognizes the Amewule-led assembly as your rightful assembly to be the assembly for the state, discrediting the Okojombo faction, one would have thought that perhaps the payment of their accrued allowances and emoluments should have been one step in the right direction. What's there to discuss?
First of all, Dr. Awote, you know you are a Rivers man. You're my brother. We are not here to trade blame, and I'm not a politician, However, I just want us to toe the high moral ground and establish the fact that all of these issues are taking a toll on the people. I speak for the people. I don't speak for the politicians. However, in answer, direct answer to your question, Mark, I keep saying that if one person is making a mistake, and some of the things that Doc has said here, enumerated, can be facts, but are we going to say that a particular person or individual in both camps are making mistakes, and for that reason, Rivers people should suffer? What I'm saying is, let's find a common ground to come to a place where one person can look the other person in the eyes and say, you were wrong. Do you know what it would have meant for Amewule to be in that meeting, stand up and say to the governor, Mr. Governor, you transmitted a letter on a social media. Why did you do that? Mr. Governor, why is it that you have my number? Why didn't you call me and we have a pre-meeting, and discuss what these issues are and table it like brothers? For heaven's sake, whether anybody likes it or not, Amewule is a Rivers man. Fubara is a Rivers man. Wike is a Rivers man. What is our interest Is our interest for the people? Are we looking at the impact of some of our decisions? Why this ego trip? And I'm saying this on both camps. And let me apologize to the elders, the way you spoke. Look, the average Rivers man respects elders. And I'm not saying you disrespected them. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying generally, somebody like an ex-governor of the state who ruled the state, led the state well, and that George was a good leader. Even if he makes mistake as an elder statesman, we cannot put him out there on the television, and I beg to differ. And I'll use this opportunity to apologize to them. We should not denigrate, and I'm not saying, please mark my word, I'm not saying you did that, but I'm saying on a general note, we shouldn't do things that will cast a slur on the leaders of Rivers State that are reputable individuals. These are people who have made their mark nationally and internationally. I know the little effort that I've made nationally and internationally. And I wouldn't be happy if anybody comes on the national television to dismiss my ideas. And we shouldn't do that, please, my brother. You and I should work hard together to ensure that this thing does not continue. No matter what happens, we always say, you politicians will always say it's a family affair. Why don't we make this family affair?
Well, Mr. Pele, just one moment, if you can hear me. Just one moment, Mr. Pele, if you can hear me. I don't know, because the question everyone is asking now is, what specific compromises or assurances do you think might be necessary so both parties can come to the table? Because at the end of the day, it is always better to judge than to war. So what are the propositions you would want to put forward for the two parties, for the sake of the people and for the sake of the state?
Ayo, you have been a champion of when there is constitutional misunderstanding, you have been a champion of political solution. Today, I agree with you. We need a political solution to this constitutional quagmire that my state is being thrown into. Ayo, this thing is too much to bear. Before you know it, I sometimes I start crying on television. This is too much for the state to bear. So no matter what happens, let's find let common sense prevail over nonsense.
Okay, let me ask our second guest also, who is with us here, Mr. Awotu. Let me ask him. There is no doubt that the camp is solidly divided. The walls are up. Unfortunately, not every person in River State is a politician. Yes, we may say we are all political animals, but we're not all politicians. So people are wondering, at the end of the day, this whole thing boils down to governance. There are so many issues in River State that one should be talking about. Ask any question on now, you'll be listening to all kinds of issues that need to be addressed. The abandoned development projects, oil theft, environmental pollution, those are the issues that concern the people. It will seem like all of those are sidestepped now. That's what it will seem like, because those ones are not making the news. What's making the news is politics. So what are the compromises or assurances that you think need to be put forward so both parties can come to the table and recognize that this is not about power, it's about people?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. And let me just make a little comment about what Jake said about maybe denigrating or deprecating the elders. That was never done, and I will never do it. For those that know me, I respect elders, even if you're older than me by 1 year. I respect juniors as well. So trying to say that or make allusions to the fact that I made statements that deprecated the elders is very unfortunate, and I think it's not right. Then, now, holistically, the issue of governance places a lot of responsibility on the head of the government, because tomorrow what will be said is that during the time of this governor, this happened and that happened. Probably the assembly will not even be mentioned. So anybody that is at the head of government has to know that there is a whole lot of responsibility that is placed on him to make compromises, because you're ruling a state and you know from beginning that
but
they are
how about
very
both parties, Mr. Awotu, and not just one side? And here is why.
No. Let me
Just a
come. I'm going
second.
to come to that. I'm going to
Okay.
come to that.
All right.
Yes, I'm going to come to that.
I was
First,
hoping you would speed it up
head,
because we are running out of time. Go ahead.
Okay. The head has to know that there is greater responsibility upon him to go to the assembly, make compromise, reach out to people that can reach out to the assembly. Because at the end of the day, by and large, he takes responsibility for what goes on. And I'll urge the assembly, if the governor comes to them genuinely, they were elected to represent the people and represent and bring good things for the people. So whatever will derail or be in conflict with that aim, they should stay away from it. Now, Jake also made allusion to constitutional quagmire. There's no constitutional issue in Rivers State. All matters have been settled by the Supreme Court. And we are praying that the governor will not behave the way he was doing, disregarding court orders and even coming on air to say corrupt judgments and deprecating the court.
The
openly.
issues. If you can hear me, Mr. Awotu. If you can hear me, Mr. Awotu, it would seem like the political issues are still quite prominent on the table. Unfortunately, we're out of time for this conversation, and I really wish we had more time. Maybe some other time we'll pick it up. Because at the end of the day, what matters to the people is the compromises and assurances that will help them to move the state forward on behalf of the people, because there is no doubt Rivers State is a significant state in Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time this morning, for joining us in this conversation. Mr. Erastus Awotu, Dr. Erastus Awotu, actually, thank you so much for your time, as well as Mr. Jake Pele, founder, TAF Africa. We appreciate you, both gentlemen. When we return, we're still in Rivers State, this time specifically politics. Please stay with us.
The attention of the Rivers State People Congress, RIPCO, has been drawn to several misguided and inflammatory statements recently made in both the print and electronic media. These statements threaten chaos and unrest in Rivers State, particularly in response to the Supreme Court judgment on the ongoing Rivers State crisis. While RIPCO ordinarily will not engage in public dispute over the opinions of other Ijaw people, we feel compelled to clarify some points and correct the misconception being propagated. However, it is deeply troubling that certain individuals, including Professor Benjamin Ogele Okaba, the president of the Ijaw National Congress, INC, among others, have resorted to threat of violence and destruction, including targeting vital oil and gas infrastructure in Rivers State and the Wada-Niger Delta region. These calls for violence are not only reckless, but are profoundly misguided. It is wanting to disagree with the judicial decision. Still, it is entirely different to resort destructive and unlawful actions that threaten the lives and livelihood of innocent people in the Niger Delta region and Nigeria as a whole.
Thank you for staying with us. Still in Rivers State, as we mentioned, the crisis rocking the APC in Rivers State is definitely something that is still on and affects the stance on various political issues. While the Tony Okorocha-led faction calls for the impeachment of Governor Fubara, Emeka Beke, on the other hand, distances the party from the ultimatum given to the governor So to discuss these challenges, let's welcome two gentlemen with us here. Darlington Woju is Publicity Secretary of the Emeka Bekele-led Rivers APC, as well as Chibike Ikenga, who is Publicity Secretary of the Tony Okocha-led Rivers APC. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Let me begin with you, Mr. Ikenga. The first question anybody will want to ask is, do we have two factions of APC in Rivers State, or is there a splinter group? Which group is the authentic APC chapter or faction in Rivers?
Okay, thank you. Listeners and watchers. APC is one in Nigeria. APC has the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. We have the national chairman of the party, His Excellency Omar Ganduje. We have in the South here, the national vice chairman, Chief Honorable Victor Tambari-Gadon. And then in the River State here, we have Chief Tony Okocha as the chairman. Take note that about a fortnight ago or thereabout, the National Executive Committee of our party held. The National Caucus was also held. So you saw those who attended from all the states. So you will not be surprised to know that Chief Tony Okocha was conspicuously present there as the only recognized chairman of the APC in Rivers State. I think I'll stop there for now.
Okay. Mr. Oju, do you agree?
Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning.
Hello? Yes. I think that the answers that Mr. King has given to you is from the point of view of someone who enjoys going against the rule of law, going against due process, while pontificating against the governor of Rivers State for disobeying court orders. Now, we must say that this is and remains and will continue to be a constitutional democracy. And in every constitutional democracy, there must be separation of powers, inclusive of respect for the judiciary and the orders of courts. Now, you may recall that on the 22nd day of May, November 2023, there was a decision by the National Working Committee of our party purportedly dissolving the validly elected executives of the All Progressive Congress in Rivers State. And so we, the elected executives, those who were elected on the 16th of October 2021, led by Chief Emeka Bekele, challenged that action in court. And on the 12th day of August 2024, Justice Ika Broku of the Rivers State High Court dissolved, nullified the decisions of the National Working Committee, recognizing a caretaker without going through
All right, well, I hope we'll be able to get that
the legal procedures of our own funded constitution of the All Progressive. Abundantly so. Desire, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. We lost you for a bit, but we can hear you now.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to say that whereas on the 12th day of August 2024, a Rivers State High Court had nullified the actions of the National Working Committee under Ganduje, which purportedly dissolved the validly elected executives of our party. And as we speak, that decision of Justice Abrioku has not been set aside by the higher court. In fact, the next date for hearing of that matter is fixed for June 16th, 2025. And I dare say that if there is a valid judgment of court or order of court, we all must respect it. We must or obey it in the interest of the rule of law and in the interest of constitutional democracy. You cannot be blowing hot and cold at the same time. Okay. The same set of individuals who today are shouting that the governor of Rivers State refused to obey court orders are the same persons who, in the instant case happening within the All Progressive Congress, are clearly, flagrantly disobeying court orders. So, all right,
just 1 second. Yeah, that's understood, and I think the point has been made. But let me go back to Mr. Ikenga. Well, depending on, I think, as politicians usually say, it's a family affair. I guess those issues can be resolved. But talking about family affairs, Mr. Ikenga, is the comments coming from your faction, as it is looking like to everyone, every political watcher now, that statement put out by the Tonio Okorocha's faction or side of the APC, telling the governor of Rivers State to resign or be impeached, is that the position of the national body of the APC?
Okay, thank you, Ayo. Just before I touch on this immediate question, I'd like you to know that there is a subsisting Supreme Court decision where courts are barred from meddling into the internal affairs of political parties, and that those who were elected under Emeka Bike, we were part of that election, he was properly elected. And then in the lead up to the 2023 election, they were grossly involved in anti-party activities, wherein they worked for former Vice President Atiku Abubakar of the PDP against their own party candidate, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. These petitions are there, and the reports are there, and it was on the basis of that ESCO, the State Executive Council, was dissolved. More so, they had internal wranglings that split the ESCO into two, and they suspended the then chairman, Chief Emeka Bike, and went to court to validating it. And that was the position. So the National Working Committee did that, having gotten the powers from the National Executive Committee of the party. So that being said, it is on the basis of the Supreme Court decision that we are acting as
Mr. Ikenga, I really hate to interrupt you just like that. However, I want us to get to the issue why you're here today. The issue that has come up is the fact that your part of the APC has now asked Governor Fubara to either resign or be impeached. What precisely has brought this about? Because members of the House of Assembly are not members of the APC, last we checked. At least so they claim. They say that they are members of the PDP, even though that is now under contention. So the question is, why is the APC directly involved in this? Or are you instructing your members? What exactly is this about?
Okay, thank you, Mark. If you listen to me, I did say that before I answer this question, when I did raise it, that I was going to respond to the issues Mr. Darlington did say, trying to discredit the party. That was why I did that. So I'm not shying away from the issue. Now, the party chairman, Chief Tony Okocha, did say so. And he is entitled to his opinion. And that the national leadership of the party did not say so. And they have not said so. And the state party, ESCO, has not said so. And I asked the chairman. The chairman said that what he told the press was that because of the judgment of the Supreme Court, which indicted the governor for infractions on the Constitution, and that because, according to him, the governor will not listen to wise counsels that will bring peace. It was on the basis of that, he said that the only option left to the governor of the state was for him to either resign or face impeachment.
Essentially, you are saying that that is the opinion of Mr. Antonio Okocha, and he does not speak for the APC in Rivers State.
The APC has not taken the position of the impeachment of the governor. The reason being that there are still overtures being made to guarantee peace and to ensure that the governor complies without reservations on the provisions of the judgment of the Supreme Court, and that impeachment or resignation will be a last resort, and that's not in contemplation now.
I want to ask Mr. Darlington if he's on the same page with you. Do you agree with him on this?
Let me say this, Good morning once again. I would like to draw your attention to the facts that this group of individuals, Mr. Tony Okocha and his group, have consistently been inconsistent in all the activities, with all their speeches, commentaries concerning the debacle, the political debacle in Rivers State. Recall that before this time, the same Tony Okocha had ordered the assembly members under Martin Samehule to go ahead and move against the governor. And he said in his own words that they were his umbrella. These are things that you can fact check. They are there in the public domain. They are recorded. He said it before the press. And so today, someone close to him is now denying the fact that Tony Okocha never called for the impeachment of the state governor. The question is, it will only take people I refer to as conflictpreneurs, people who have created an economy, who are surviving through the economy of conflicts around the political disagreements in Rivers State. And we take an exception to that. Given the fact also that these same individuals who are today casting aspersions on the person and the office of the governor of Rivers State are persons who have willfully chosen to disobey previous court orders and judgments. So you cannot come to equity with very dirty hands. And so they have no moral grounds at all to talk about even the crisis that is.
Oh dear, it does appear that we've lost him briefly there, but essentially what he's saying is that they do not have the moral high ground to speak. I'm sure that you certainly would disagree with that, Mr. Ikenga.
You know that there was attract lies when he said that I said that Chief Tony Okocha didn't say that the governor should be impeached or resign. I didn't say so. I said the chairman of the party, Chief Tony Okocha,
they themselves are stoking crisis within the whole progress.
Please go on, Mr. Ikenga. Mr. Ikenga, please go ahead. Oh dear, it does. Yeah, I lost your audio briefly, but let me quickly put this to Mr. Darlington. Mr. Darlington, are you intentionally misinterpreting what he said? Because he says that he did not say that the governor, beg your pardon, that Mr. Tony Okocha did not say what he said. He's saying he was not speaking for the party. He was expressing his own personal opinion, not speaking on behalf of the APC in Rivers State. Is that difficult to come to terms with? Oops. I understand that Mr. Darlington is totally off the line. But, given the fact that, Mr. Okocha has said what he said, you say he's not speaking on behalf of the party. But this has now gone out there to say that, well, the Tony Okocha-led faction of the APC is calling for the impeachment. How does the party intend to, reconcile what he has said versus what the party's stance actually is in the Rivers crisis?
Okay, Mark, you'll understand that Chief Tony Okocha, the chairman of the APC, is entitled to his opinion. So whatever opinion he wants to express, he can so do. And I also know that he did not say that the APC had ordered the governor to resign or be impeached. He didn't say so. He spoke as a person. And I want to tell you that when I did ask him, he said so. Once again, that it was premised on the fact that having a good knowledge of how the governor and his team functions, that they are not likely to obey the Supreme Court without reservations, and that they will not also listen to wise counsels that will help midwife a more united River State for the good governance of the state and for the improvement of the socioeconomic status of the citizens. That it was on the basis of that he said so.
Mr. Kenga, I don't know that you've taken a look at the front pages this morning, because they are not separating Mr. Okocha's opinion from that of the APC, which he represents in River State.
Expectedly.
What I'm saying is, how do you then get your stance out there that this is the chairman of our own faction expressing his own opinion? How do you get it out there?
The position is this: as APC River State, our view is that we continue to encourage the governor to do what he had said, because the governor did say he was going to implement the Supreme Court decision without reservations. We expect him to do so. We also expect that the governor should, as the head of government, should try and reach out to the State Assembly through Right Honorable Martin Samewule. Let them have backroom discussions on how these things can easily be done. And then they must respect their institutions, because there is separation of powers. The executive cannot overreach themselves by trying to lord it over the legislature, which of course is the basis of the disagreement we have had. But all that has been settled by the Supreme Court. So there is need. As a party, we believe that there is need for peace, unity, through the implementation of the Supreme Court judgment, so we can have a new lease of life.
Well, on that note, for peace, we have to say thank you to the both of you. Mr. Darlington Nwan Uju is the publicity secretary of the Emeka Beke-led Rivers APC, and we also had Chibike Ikenga, who is the publicity secretary of the Tony Okocha-led Rivers APC. They both joined us virtually. Thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of the program this morning. Well, that's where we wrap up the show this beautiful Tuesday morning. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makine. Have a productive day.